No, the National Assembly does not pretend. This 21. Once they see their grandfather walking into the Harlow chambers, they will be on their feet and they will start singing. But I have had problem with Nigerians because what my ear used to hear them sing, Nigerians said it's not correct. And I don't know whether you will also have them differently. But what I used to hear them sing is that on your dollar we shall stand. On your dollar we shall stand. On your dollar. And they will be so excited. In fact, the type of excitement they do exhibit, I mean, we will need a psychologist to examine it. So, the National Assembly is not pretending. They are Emiloko choristers. And they have not done anything less than that. Anything from the executive to the National Assembly is even approved before it is conceived.
And if you had to rate them, how would you rate them?
I will rate them -10.
Of 100.
-10 of 100.
Recently, Bola Tinubu's spokesman, a man by the name of Kehinde Bamibeto, who was his chief press secretary while he was governor and an immediate past commissioner for information in Lagos State, responded to my revelations about Bola Tinubu's drug past, and he wrote that the fact that Bola Tinubu is able to go in and out of the United States is proof that Bola Tinubu has nothing to hide. Now, that's not true. He's just trying to play tricks on the minds of unsuspecting Nigerians. You know, Bola Tinubu is a permanent resident holder, so that means he's a green card holder. He can go in and out of the United States even though he's been involved in a drug cartel. You know, even in Nigeria, we've got several prominent people, I know them, I don't want to mention their names, including the son of a former military head of state, who are in similar situations. They're able to go in and out of the United States. You know, it is the section 212 paragraph 8 of the Immigration and Nationalization Act that deals on that. And if you study that, you can Google it, you can see that it doesn't apply to Bola Tinubu. So the fact that he goes in and out of the United States, it's not any proof that he's not a known drug lord. Bola Tinubu is a known drug lord. And if you read his response to me, Kehinde Bamibeto, he did not deny that. It's a fact. And then he also said that, well, it was a forfeiture of assets, and if it's a forfeiture of assets, then Bola Tinubu is not a criminal. Listen, I'm going to read for you something on the website of the Department of Justice, and I'm going to put it in the description box of this video so you can watch it yourself. Now, I'm quoting, "Asset forfeiture is designed to deprive criminals," look at that word, criminals, "of the proceeds of their crimes." So when Bola Tinubu voluntarily agreed to an asset forfeiture judgment against him, which was a plea bargain. Incidentally, what happened is that the FBI had taken him to court, and then rather than go through a trial, he reached what they call a plea bargain, which is that he agreed with the United States Department of Justice, and then they settled. So part of the settlement was that he gave up $460,000 drug money to the government. So it's an asset forfeiture. You know, he does not have the right to say that he was not convicted or is not a criminal. He is a criminal. And so that's what I'm trying to tell Nigerians. This has nothing to do. Nobody is paying me. Nobody is hyping me. I'm doing this for patriotic reasons.
Bola Tinubu is a non-drug lord. It's not an operable word. I've got facts to back it up. You know, I've got documents to back it up. I spent my money. I went to Chicago. I went to the court. I got the certified true copies. Bola Tinubu is a drug lord.
In that petition, he outlined criminal activities that if the EFCC is to act upon it today, Asiwaju will be arraigned in court.
I came to celebrate and congratulate him. I was looking at his demeanor. I could see the passion and the conviction to lead. And I am also here to say I am supporting President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in achieving the objective of the problems we are in the country. I don't think that at this time of hunger and problems in the country, somebody should be here talking about party. And as per defection, God knows tomorrow.
You get it? If you don't get it, forget about it.
By the time the president is performing very well and Nigerians are happy, nobody will come and start talking about competing with Mr. President. It will be automatic. But as it is now, they keep on talking nonsense because, as I said, three things will determine whether this government is going to succeed or not. 1 is security. 2 is welfare of its citizens. And 3, that is related to the welfare, is the economy itself. If it is not performing, then you can go and be talking nonsense. It will not work.
When you took that decision on March 31st, 2015, he's written a little book, which you should read, My Transition Hours. But when you took that decision, it was one of those moments that it was between yourself, your conscience, your God, against the run of play. On the 31st of March 2015, even before the elections had concluded, when you made that call, you were answering what to me was more or less a divine call. And by taking that decision, not only did you reverse, and I think your successor made the point himself over and over, you had all the military, you had all the paraphernalia of power around you. It would have been possible to instigate a war. But by taking that decision, in my view, the people of Athens entrusted into your hands a touch of hope, a touch of what democracy should look like. The story of the United States of America is a lesson. After over 200 years, the behavior of Donald Trump and his supporters on June 6, 2022 suggests that time and experience very often are not reasons for us to go to sleep, because the human instinct for violence doesn't ever go to sleep. Therefore, we must remain vigilant over the claims that democracy makes. And the point, therefore, is that no matter how long democracy has been in our country, it is the strength of the institution that sustains the occasional assault to this foundation. Now, of course, if you live in a country like Nigeria, Ghana, and many African countries, a culture of cynicism has been embedded, because if you talk to Nigeria, people tell you, are we going to eat democracy? If you tell them it's going to take a long time, they say, how long is long enough? Yet, history suggests very clearly that democracy and its quest has no shortcuts. The challenge for those who govern is to ensure, I often use the metaphor of, I think women call it the pacifier. This little plastic rubber that women put in the mouth of a child. The child is sucking the rubber. There is nothing inside the rubber, but at least it enables the mother to continue cooking without disturbance. So in a way, African politicians must give us some plastic rubber to continue to manage, between now and the next election. Democracy's womb possesses many seeds, the good, the bad, and the ugly. It's not so much the quarrels that politicians engage in. In fact, many ordinary Nigerians, including myself, continue to encourage our people. Please, when you see these politicians fighting, even if they are throwing chairs among themselves in parliament, don't kill yourself, because they will still close the door and distribute the money of state among themselves. In that area, there is no fight. So very often, many of us jump into thinking that, these politicians don't like themselves. No, they like themselves. Even armed robbers have common interests. So let's measure our enthusiasm, because very often we think that democracy is about to fall because our people are always fighting. As a priest, I have experience of helping resolve problems of marriage. In the end, I've had family, women and men, come to me and say, look, our marriage is no longer working. We're 10 years now, 5 years now, we're sleeping in the same room, but we're not sleeping on the same bed. Or people will tell you all kinds of things, but families themselves have realized that marriage, the priesthood, every vocation is a work in progress. And that is not so much a question of the problems of the moment, but the development of the inherent capacity which you can glean from friends and culture and history, but also drawing inspiration from the moral basis of your relationship, that things can work differently. And when a man realizes very clearly that he took his wife for granted, or that the wife realizes she took certain things for granted, it is possible for people to go back, renew their commitment, and have a much stronger relationship. Similarly, flawed elections are not necessarily evidence that democracy is not working. Very often it is the over-enthusiasm, but also agents of state, electoral bodies, the police, and so on, that often confuse the president with the state. Very often in our countries, the military, the security agencies believe that they confuse the state with the president. And they think that their obligation and responsibility is not to the people of Nigeria or Ghana or Kenya, but it is protecting the regime that is in power. Rather than dying, democracy can lose its appeal and allure for very many reasons. But often the letter and the spirit of the Constitution are miles apart. Therefore, we must continue to make the point, that citizens' engagement with the institutions and instruments of state is fundamental to how democracy grows in our countries. Rather than believing that democracy is a game of experts and all we have to do is literally choose which club we are going to support. Being involved in democracy in your country is not the same as supporting Arsenal or supporting Liverpool or Manchester United. There are many of us who support any club that is holding a trophy. But it's much more than that. And the call is much deeper than that. And the sacrifice is much deeper than that. Because conceptually, we confuse office with power. Okay? There are people who are in office, but they are not in power. There are people who are empowered, but they are not in office. And you can often see a lot of that from the fact that if you ask Nigerians, maybe who was your governor 20 years ago, average citizen will scratch because they can't remember. So it's about impact, but it's also about understanding that we are not just agents to be acted upon. Politicians must demonstrate the spirit of patriotism. A deliberate effort must be made by politicians to understand that their lives must reflect both the letter and the spirit of the claims of the Constitution. In this way, politics will not become a do or die affair, a ticket to the theater of corruption. Institutions like the judiciary, electoral bodies must inspire confidence among our people. I now want to try and end. The debate about democracy remains controversial, but it's also enchanting. It will continue to remain a subject of intense interest. Democracy is about systems, and systems will always remain in a state of flux because the goalposts of human expectation are constantly shifting.